Earth's orbit. UHS Punchline, Human Coalition Diplomatic Frigate. 1409 UTC. Captain Rex Mallory leaned back in his leather chair. Vintage cowhide from a planet most galactic species still insisted was largely untamed. The chair creaked rebelliously, like everything else human-made, and Rex let out a slow, satisfied sigh. God, I love the smell of contempt in the afternoon, he said, sipping coffee from a chipped Ghostbusters mug. You mean confidence, said Lieutenant Jin Specs Alvarez, pushing his glasses up his nose. The lenses weren't necessary. Specs had perfect vision thanks to neural enhancement. He wore them ironically, one of many human traditions the aliens still hadn't figured out. No, Rex replied, swiveling lazily toward the holoscreen. Confidence is earned. This is contempt marinated in self-worship, basted with space superiority complex, and served with a side of smug. The screen shimmered, and an image resolved into focus. Admiral Sicharik of the Virox Ascendancy, looking like a cross between a peacock, a centipede, and the concept of superiority itself. His crest feathers pulsed neon blue, a color associated with gracious mockery and Virox etiquette. Humans of Sol, Sicharik began, his voice translated through the ship's AI into flawless Oxford British English, which felt suspiciously deliberate. We are intrigued by your persistence in the galactic theater. Rex raised an eyebrow. Intrigued, he mouthed. Specs stifled a laugh. We understand your species has clawed its way from your gravity well using chemical propulsion, projectile-based, weaponry, and something your records call duct tape. Ensign Mia Chen, weapons specialist and full-time pop culture encyclopedia, leaned in. Don't knock the duct tape, man. It sealed our Mars habitat after the 2153 venting incident. Saved 12 people and one unfortunate cat. Irrelevant. Sicharik continued, oblivious to human cross-chatter. The Virox Ascendancy hereby offers your species an opportunity. As part of the Interstellar Accord of Dominant Civilizations, we invite you to send a champion to our grand galactic arena. Specs blinked. Wait, the what now? It's Space UFC, but with more ego and lasers, Chen muttered. Sicharik went on, posture radiating galactic superiority. Of course, we expect this invitation will demonstrate the limitations of your kind, but we are generous. When your warrior falls, your people may take solace in knowing they were acknowledged. Rex exhaled through his nose. Wow, that's almost touching. I believe I've heard more sincere compliments from toaster ads, Chen added. Sicharik's crest flared briefly. We eagerly await your selection. Perhaps one of your Space Marines or a cowboy? The transmission ended with a ceremonial trill that sounded like a kazoo dying. The bridge of the punchline was silent for a beat. Then Rex chuckled. Well, that was a diplomatic slap if I've ever seen one. Specs nodded. They honestly think we're going to show up in leather jackets holding revolvers, quoting Stallone. Are we not? Chen asked, eyes twinkling. I was going to wear my Clint Eastwood poncho, Rex said. Now I feel basic. Galactinet commentary feed. Live chat transcripts thread. Humans getting invited to the arena. Lolol, you Korthox Prime. Ha ha, this will be hilarious, you Nephrigel. I heard they still use wheels on their vehicles. You Virox Hammer. They built their first warship with steel, like actual metal. You Zurag Spectator. Can't wait to watch their representative cry when someone whips out a plasma blade. Drektar 7. Betting pools open. Odds of human victory 14,000 to 1. Okay, Specs said, rubbing his temples. This could be a diplomatic trap. If we decline, we look weak. If we accept and lose, we confirm their belief that we're, well, space cavemen. And if we win? Chen asked. Then we're unpredictable, dangerous, possibly destabilizing to their ego-fueled galactic hierarchy. Rex grinned. I do love destabilizing egos. Specs narrowed his eyes. So you're seriously considering this? Oh, I'm not just considering, Rex replied, standing up and straightening his battered flight jacket. I'm planning our grand entrance. Chen leaned back, boots on console. Who are we sending in? A Marine? A cybernetic gorilla? That Russian guy from Titan who can bend titanium with his teeth? Rex smirked. We're sending in Jack. A silence fell like a dropped piano. Jack? Specs repeated slowly. Rex nodded. Jack Granger. Jack the janitor? Jen said incredulously. Jack, the retired Special Forces Black Ops ghost story who's been mopping the engine room because he says it's peaceful? Yeah. That Jack. Specs facepalmed. We're going to get mocked across 12 systems. Let them mock, Rex said, walking toward the comm console. Just like the Virocs mocked our armor plating, till they found out it was magnetically polarized carbonium mesh wrapped in camouflage paint. We do make it look like scrap, Chen admitted. They don't get us, Rex said. They think we're messy, loud, emotional. We are, Specs said. Rex turned, smirk cocked. But we're also deadly, adaptive. And the best part? We let them believe their own propaganda. Onboard Viroc's flagship Veneration of Glory command deck. Hours later, Admiral Sacharek adjusted his feathers in front of a mirror-polished obsidian panel. Around him, lesser officers chirped and clicked approvingly. The humans have accepted our challenge, a communications officer trilled. Excellent, Sacharek replied, talons flexing smugly. Have we identified their champion? Yes. Their designation is Jack. A pause. Scharek's voice turned skeptical. No honorifics, no rank. No, just Jack. Sacharek chuckled with the smooth, musical rhythm of his species. How quaint. Meanwhile, back on the punchline, human high-orbit Jack Granger emerged from the ship's lower decks wearing overalls, a grimy ball cap, and a coffee stain the size of Jupiter on his shirt. He scratched his beard, yawned, and glanced at Rex. Let me guess. You need me to punch something? Rex nodded. Diplomatically, Jack grunted. I hate diplomacy. Perfect, Rex said. They'll never see you coming. Jack Granger stepped off the human shuttle with the kind of gait only seen in ex-Special Forces personnel and heavily sedated orangutans. He wore what could generously be described as tactical janitorial chic, combat boots, olive drab pants, and a jacket that might have once been military issued before surviving a fire, a flood, and a nuclear divorce. The Viroc's diplomatic reception team looked visibly confused. Ambassador Threlick of the Virocs, a tall, beetle-limbed aristocrat with a head like a disco ball wrapped in chrome, tilted his multifaceted eyes. Is this the human champion? He asked, as if he might trigger a different one by refreshing the scene. Jack looked around and scratched his side. You boys got coffee? He asked. Travel makes me sluggish. The aliens led Jack through the flagship's reception corridors, which were predictably trying very hard to impress. Walls shimmered with photonic paint that changed color depending on the viewers. Brain waves. Floors levitated half an inch off the real floor for optimal glide. Scent diffusers blasted alien pheromone bouquets that smelled like burning strawberries and smugness. Floating alongside him were two Virocs dignitaries and one bored-looking diplomatic AI. Behold the might of the Ascendancy, one said. Our star-forged alloy is capable of withstanding neutron implosions. No lesser species has crafted such engineering, Jack grunted. Huh. Looks a bit like aluminum siding back home. You ever been to Pittsburgh? They blinked in confusion. Jack stared at a floating art sculpture, 3 spheres rotating inside one another, accompanied by a 500-line plaque. What's this? He asked. Our most sacred mathematical expression, the other dignitary replied proudly. It represents our cultural evolution toward order and power. Jack nodded. We used to have something like this. Called it a Rubik's Cube. On the bridge of the punchline, Captain Rex Mallory watched the live diplomatic feed while sipping from his die-hard mug. Is he actually comparing their sacred geometry to a Rubik's Cube? Asked Chen. Yes, Rex replied with pride. And it's beautiful. Specs monitored the alien comms in the background. They think Jack's either mentally damaged or some kind of Earth monk. Monk. Yeah, they believe his simplicity is either low cognitive function or transcendental war calm. Rex smiled. Let him choose. Eventually, Jack was escorted into the Grand Exhibition Hall. A massive Colosseum-style chamber unfolded before him, wreathed in alien steel and humming with energy. In the center, alien warriors, tall, spiny, and flexing like MMA influencers on galactic TikTok, demonstrated weapons that looked like they could tear moons in half. The announcer, speaking in a synthesized voice oozing with theatrical smugness, toned, "Behold our plasma war sabers, capable of slicing through photon shields and turning lesser metals to mist." A warrior stepped forward, activated his saber, and vaporized a solid column of titanium with a hum and a foosh. The crowd cheered. Jack yawned. Next up, a drone released a burst of heat-seeking micro-flechettes, each individually guided by quantum logic. They curved mid-air, pierced a dozen moving targets, and then dissolved into glitter. Another cheer. Jack scratched his chin. Then came the shield demonstration. A Virox soldier stepped into a platform and activated a dome of shifting blue. "Light. Observe," the announcer continued. "Our energy-dampening shields can deflect plasma, laser, ion, and tachyon-based weaponry, with 99.99999% efficiency." The crowd oohed. The soldier was bombarded with plasma bursts. All were repelled like mosquitoes hitting a bug zapper. Jack leaned over to one of the escorting Virox. "So, does that work against bullets?" The alien blinked. "What is a bullet?" "Oh," Jack said, eyes twinkling. "You'll find out." The final portion of the ceremony involved a sit-down diplomatic banquet. Jack was the guest of honor, though he was seated on a levitating chair, suspiciously child-sized. Food was served by levitating trays, shimmering cubes, gelatinous spirals, and one dish that looked and smelled like battery acid. "Please enjoy our molecular gastronomy," said Trellick. "It is prepared via nanofusion across 3 dimensions." Jack picked up a cube with his fingers, sniffed it, then promptly stuffed it in his mouth. He said after a moment. "Tastes like rubber and sadness." Gasps erupted from the nearby dignitaries. He held up another. "This one's blue, might be blueberry." Trellick, who was struggling to remain composed, tried again. "Your fighting style, Jack. It is based on primitive muscle movement, yes, with no integrated tech?" Jack grinned. "Yup, good old muscle movement. We call it punching." Another pause. "And this training you do, it is conducted in gravity?" Jack nodded solemnly. "Hardcore gravity, real intense. Up to 1G, sometimes more if we run." "Fascinating," Trellick said, obviously trying not to laugh. "You truly are a species of contradictions." Jack leaned back in his chair. "We get that a lot." Back on the punchline, the rest of the human crew wasn't sipping tea. Specs was monitoring Virox shield specs and running simulations on kinetic weapon impacts. Chen was loading Jack's travel bag with something no one expected. A heavily modified coil gun disguised as a cleaning unit. It fired metal slugs the size of AA batteries at 6 times the speed of sound. It was wrapped in duct tape. They called it Mop Mark II. "This thing's gonna go viral," Chen said, patting the barrel. Rex just nodded. "The trick isn't winning. The trick is making them think we brought a broom to a lightsaber fight." As the alien banquet concluded, Trellick stood and raised a chalice. "To the humans," he said, "who in their charming naivete have chosen to participate in a contest far beyond their means. May their end be honorable and brief." Jack stood holding up his own cup, half full with whatever passed for alien fruit juice. He grinned. "To the Virox," he said, voice carrying across the chamber, "who've spent millennia building the world's fanciest armor and forgot to check if it works against rocks." Silence. The translator paused, unsure whether to render rocks literally. Jack drank, winked, and dropped his cup. It shattered, like the Virox's pride would. The Virox arena was carved into the heart of a hollow asteroid, a gleaming stadium the size of Manhattan, surrounded by orbital cameras, diplomatic suites, and more ego than an intergalactic award show. Inside, Trillions across the galaxy watched. Live, ready to witness the humiliation of Earth's champion. The crowds were animated, not the fun kind. The we paid for blood kind. In the announcer's box, two alien sportcasters with antennae like coat racks narrated the spectacle. Welcome, my telepathically connected friends. Today's feature, a certified primitive Earth specimen versus our genetically enhanced Virox tri-gladiators. That's right, Drex. You may remember Earth as the quaint dirtball that still uses combustion engines and lets its citizens vote. Laughter echoed through the arena. The Virox crowd waved banners that translated into things like break. The monkey and primitive lives matter less. A trapdoor opened, smoke billowed, lights flared. Jack Granger stepped into the arena like a man who thought it was still casual Friday. He wore a sleeveless vest, cargo pants, and, yes, a backward baseball cap with 1-1 Dad embroidered on it in Terran blue. Slung on his back was Mop Mark II, disguised as a metal broom. He squinted at the screaming alien masses. Place could use a beer stand. On the opposite side, the Virox champions entered in full ceremonial glory. Each stood over 9 feet tall, exoskeletons glimmering with shifting hues, weapons humming with power, twin plasma glaives, wrist-mounted fusion slicers, and neural link combat enhancers. The announcers hyped it like it was a celebrity deathmatch. And here come the tri-gladiators. Bred for war, trained in vacuum, bathed in plasma. They've never lost a match, except against each other. And Drex, they've each got kill counts higher than Earth's global temperature. The gong sounded, an ear-splitting harmonic pulse that shook the arena. The Virox gladiators approached slowly, theatrically. One slammed his glaive into the ground, sending a ripple of molten earth. Another twirled his plasma staff, leaving a glowing trail. Jack. He fished a stick of gum from his pocket and popped it in. Lot of noise for guys wearing glow sticks. The crowd booed in 17 languages. The Virox circled him. The first swung high, a plasma arc screaming down like a sun flare. Jack ducked. The blade sliced empty air, and the pillar behind him, clean in half. Jack raised a brow. You guys ever hit anything with those? Another attacked. Jack rolled. Dust puffed. A laser scorched the ground behind him. Jack didn't fight back, just dodged. Barely, effortlessly. And every time he moved, he grinned wider. To the Virox, it looked like fear. To humanity, it was foreplay. The third Virox charged. Jack leapt sideways, and Mop Mark II slid off his back with a casual flick. He pointed the duct-taped weapon at the nearest gladiator's midsection. Time to clean house. Thump. The coil gun fired. No plasma, no laser. Just a half-inch steel. Slug launched at Mach 7. It struck the Virox in the chest. There was no shield flare. No impact burst, just a sound like a watermelon hitting concrete, followed by silence. The Virox gladiator dropped, instantly. Limp. Dead. The arena went quiet. Jack adjusted his cap. Oops, the second gladiator lunged. Jack spun and fired again. Thump. Another. Virox fell, chest cavity collapsed like a beer can. The third paused, suddenly realizing that whatever this human was doing wasn't sanctioned. Shields up. Someone yelled in the alien command box. Too late. Jack hit him dead center. Thump. One slug through the eye cluster, clean exit through the back of the skull. Silence, shock, horror, and then mayhem. Back in the broadcast booth, Drex was losing composure. It appears the human is firing metal at high speed? Is that even allowed? Did we check for projectiles in the rules? Who wrote these rules? Galactic Twitter, Glimmer feed, exploded with reactions. Ich Emperor Krex. Shield's not working? Someone explain kinetic physics to me, slowly. Exorth Q420. Bro brought a stick and killed 3 tanks. Human Fan Club. We told you, stop laughing at Earth. Ambassador Threlic was mid-vomit. What is that weapon? An aide sputtered. It's kinetic. No energy, just mass. Accelerated by magnetism? But our shields are tuned to photons, to tachyon bursts. Yes, not to, chunks of Earth metal. Threllick's glittering faceplates paled. They use rocks at hypersonic speed? Yes, sir. Threllick clutched the wall. And we laughed at them. Jack walked calmly toward the arena exit, stepping over crumpled Virox bodies like he was out for groceries. He looked up toward the Emperor's skybox, where the Virox leadership sat in stunned silence. He raised a hand and pointed at the exit door. You want me to keep going? No response. He shrugged. Thought so. He exited, still chewing gum. The crew was in uproar. Chen was high-fiving herself. Specs was already uploading footage to every galactic newsfeed. Rex just leaned back and said, "Kinetic beats shiny every." They'd planned this from the start. The dumb diplomacy, the jokes, the sarcasm, all part of the greatest rope-a-dope in cosmic history. The aliens had built defense systems designed to stop light-speed lasers and plasma storms, but not pebbles with purpose. Humanity had skipped fancy and gone with effective alien envoys from other empires began pinging Earth's comm channels. We would like to purchase your kinetic delivery system. How did you make something so simple, so deadly? Would you consider an alliance against the Virox? Back on Earth, memes flooded the net. A cave painting of a caveman with a railgun. Caption: Still primitive? A Virox hiding under a bed while a human holds a nail gun. Jack Granger photoshopped as John Wick, Rambo, and Bob the Builder simultaneously. A holographic news anchor, half crustacean, half Kardashian, sat across from Jack in a post-fight debrief. So, Mr. Granger, what's the secret to Earth's sudden success? Jack leaned forward. Simple, he said. They thought we were dumb enough to bring fists to a gunfight. The anchor laughed nervously. Jack grinned. Turns out, we brought a gun to a lightsaber party. Cut to black. The Virox were not doing well. Their glorious public arena, once a symbol of alien superiority, was now trending across 6 spiral arms as the place where a monkey killed 3 war gods with a stick. The official Virox statement described the incident as a temporary deviation from combat expectations. Unofficially, their emperor hadn't stopped weeping into his nutrient gel since the footage went viral. Meanwhile, Earth's stock had never been higher. On the steps of the Galactic Tribunal, humanity finally arrived for proper talks. Leading them was Ambassador Julius Don't Call Me Julie Monroe, a tall man with the posture of someone who'd once bartered trade deals while grilling ribs in a Hawaiian shirt. Beside him was Jack Granger, who now wore sunglasses, a bomber jacket, and was chewing the same stick of gum from 3 days prior. Behind them stood Dr. Specs Valencia, holding a holographic presentation titled, So You Finally Want to Understand. Physics, Commander Rex Boomer McMillan, carrying a briefcase marked Definitely Not a Weapon. Lieutenant April Chen Davis, wearing a shirt that said, Primitive this, you tentacled jackasses. Representatives from 100 alien civilizations were packed into the forum. Virox sat with heads bowed. Other species looked both terrified and intrigued. The lead speaker, a gelatinous elder from the Etheric Consulate, floated forward. Human delegates, the Galactic Tribunal wishes to formally inquire as to the nature of your weapons technology, specifically how your broom defeated Class 9 energy shields. Monroe nodded with exaggerated calm. Well, first off, thank you for asking nicely this time. Second, he turned to Specs, who projected a visual diagram labeled, Why You Don't Bring Bubble Wrap to a Bullet Fight. She tapped the screen. Your energy shields work on frequency modulation and tachyon dispersion. Ours? She grinned. We just throw fast rocks. Gasps filled the room. But why not use lasers, plasma cannons, dark matter slicers? Specs tilted her head. Because y'all expect that. And nothing's more fun than not doing what the arrogant enemy expects. Over the next solar cycle, the news spread faster than a TikTok challenge. Earth's primitive tech was uncounterable by current galactic standards. Shielded fleets were vulnerable to kinetic impacts. Humanity was suddenly not a meme, but a threat. And worse, they were funny about it. One headline on the Glimmernet summed it up. The cavemen beat the robots, we're screwed. Diplomatic channels lit up. The Score Rebellion wanted human railguns. The Meraxis Banking Guild offered Earth mining rights on 5 moons for a single MOP Mark II schematic. Even the Gralveth Empire, who had once declared humans dirt apes, sent a fruit basket and a handwritten note, "Let's be friends. Please don't throw anything at us." Monroe took it all in stride. Amazing what respect you get after clubbing a few demigods. Back at Virok's high command, chaos reigned. A panicked advisor was mid-report. "Sir, half our allies have suspended. Military pacts. They're afraid Earth will give the Score railguns." The Emperor screeched, "Then buy the humans weapons." "We tried. They said no." "Why?" "They said," and I quote, "We don't sell toys to people who used to call us cute." Aboard the human flagship, everyone was in good spirits. Chen was teaching aliens how to curse in 6 Terran dialects. Specs was preparing a TED Talk titled, "Why Kinetic Energy is the Best Energy." And Jack sat with Monroe, feet on the table, sipping root beer. "I still think we should have brought the microwave cannon," he said casually. Monroe smiled. "And ruin the surprise?" "No, let them wonder what else we've got." Jack raised a brow. "You think they bought the whole primitive but scrappy thing?" Monroe sipped his coffee. "Son, we came in here with duct tape, sarcasm, and one dead mop. And now they treat us like gods." That evening, Monroe recorded a formal diplomatic message. It began as expected. Talk of peace, mutual understanding, future cooperation. Then came the closing line. "To those who mocked us for being primitive, now you understand we stayed that way and on purpose. Because in a galaxy of flash, hype, and energy weapons, you forgot one rule." He paused. "It doesn't matter how shiny your armor is if someone drops a brick on your head." The message ended. Inside a sealed hangar back on Earth, 2 engineers walked past racks of even stranger weapons. One stopped by a box marked "Do not open until the galaxy really pisses us off." He whispered, "You think we'll ever use it?" The other smirked. "If we do, they'll wish we'd stuck to mops." In the background, something pulsed inside a steel coffin the size of a shuttle. Black, quiet, humming with restrained death.